guys, welcome back to my channel. Simone here. I reckon you can guess what this video is because of the terrible framing. I know that this is horrendous, this angle. This is all I can do. Basically, my tripod does not go high enough for me to do the top shelf, which obviously is my bookshelf tour, hence the title of the video, which is what I'm doing. So I've had to sort of, it's very precariously balanced right now. So yeah, it could fall over while I'm filming, I don't even know. So hopefully I can do this without it all falling over. But today I'm doing my black shelf. Let's get started. So first things first, the things on the shelf. Now, I have this little Harry Potter, which I know when I filmed one of my other bookshelf tours, that this was on that shelf. I think it was on one of these. But since then I've got Dumbledore and Hermione Funko Pops. So we have Harry and Ron on my blue shelf and green. Albus and Hermione are on the red and yellow. And then little Harry, the tiny cute one, is on the top shelf. But I'm going to put him down here for now, just while we film this. So I'm going to start with this little section here. Again, I have the same setup. I have a pile of books on each end and then a lined one. This one is a slightly smaller shelf, so bigger books don't really fit on this, and there's not really any space above these books, whereas there are on these. So this shelf probably has the least books on it, I reckon, maybe apart from the white ones. The white ones have got quite a small thing as well, which is ironic really because they're the books I have the most of the colours. But anyway, let's get started with this pile on this side. So the first book I have is The Splinters Bridle by Minette Walters. I read what was the book I read? The Sculptress? The Sculptress. I think last year, and I really enjoyed it, and this was a set of 3 books. I don't know if I have the other one. I think the other one is possibly on my shelf over there somewhere, which is like my excess books that don't fit anywhere else. Not that I can see it now, but I'm sure I have one somewhere. So I'll really quickly read the back. It says, Matilda Gillespie's body was found nearly 2 days after she had taken an overdose and slashed her wrists with a Stanley knife. But what shocked Dr. Sarah Blakeney the most was the Scold's Bridle obscuring the dead woman's face, a metal contraption grotesquely adorned with a garland of nettles and Michaelmas daisies. What happened at Cedar House in the tortured hours before Matilda's death? The police assume that the coroner will return a verdict of suicide. Only Dr. Blakeney, it seems, doubts the verdict, until it is discovered that Matilda's diaries have disappeared. So I'm actually really interested to read this. Like I said, I really liked Minette Walters' other book, The Sculptress, and I think that's a movie actually with Kathy Bates in. And in my last video, my classics part 2, I talked about the movie Misery that had Kathy Bates and that was really good. So I might watch that movie and then read this book because it sounds really interesting. Next up we have this really cute little classic. This is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is the Collins Classics version. It's really small. I feel like it's tiny in comparison to a normal book. But I watched The Secret Garden as a kid, but I've never read the book. It's about a girl who, I think in wartime, is sent to live with her uncle. And she's orphaned and sent to live with her uncle, and she finds on the property a secret garden, and it's kind of about that. I don't know too much else because it was such a long time ago I watched it. But Frances Hodgson Burnett also wrote The Little Princess, which was one of my favourite books and movies that I've ever read, so hopefully I'll like this one. Then I have The Green Mile by Stephen King. This is obviously the movie cover with Tom Hanks on the front. My mum actually gave me this copy because we both really like Stephen King, and as you all know, I'm kind of following, I'm reading all of Stephen King's books, or I'm trying to, so this is obviously one of them on the list. I also really love the film of this. It's basically set in a prison, which is like death row, and it follows a man named John Coffey, who is he basically has been sentenced to death for raping and murdering 2 young girls, and it's kind of about that and whether it's the true, what's actually happened, and if it's like, is he an evil man, is he misunderstood? And like I said, this obviously has a bit of a not supernatural, like a slightly magical element to it, which I really did enjoy in the film, but I've never read the book, so I'm interested to do that. This seems to be kind of like classic type books now, but this one is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which I feel like I saw on a Book Olive's channel recently. I don't know if she was talking about wanting to read it or having read it, I can't really remember. But this is about a man named Dorian Gray who's very vain, and he basically commissions a portrait to be done of him. Honestly, this is a classic, so I should know what it's about, but I feel like either he gets jealous of the picture because it's not aging and he is, or he gets the picture to age so that he doesn't have to. I can't remember which way around it is, or if it's a mixture of the two, but yeah, really looking forward to this. I've never read an Oscar Wilde book, and I feel like everyone talks about it, so I really need to do that. This is also one of the Penguin Classics covers, just to let you know. Then I have a book that I've heard very, very mixed things about, in fact mostly negative. But this one is Beautiful Disaster by Jamie Maguire. Samantha over at Thoughts on Tomes hated this book. It's about, I think I've mentioned this on my channel before, but I think it follows a girl who's notoriously a good girl who meets a bad guy at university, and it's kind of about her trying to resist his charms, I think. Again, I've heard very bad things about the actual relationship in this, and about how it's pretty crappy. So we'll see how that goes, because I don't really want to read another. I've just finished reading The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simons. What a load of trash. I won't even go into it because I'll talk about it in my wrap up, but I don't want to read another book like that. Then I have Second Life by S.J. Watson. I read Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson a few years ago now and absolutely adored it, but I don't actually know what this is about. It just says, she loves her husband, she's obsessed by a stranger, she's a devoted mother, she's prepared to lose everything. She knows what she's doing, she's out of control. She's innocent, she's guilty of sin. She's living two lives, she might lose both. That really didn't tell me anything, but I'm really fascinated, and I obviously love S.J. Watson's writing, so I'm up for this one. Then we have Still Alice by Lisa Genova, and all I know about this is that it's a book about a woman who gets premature, early onset Alzheimer's, and her short-term memory starts to go, and I think she's struggling to come to terms with that. I know it's a movie. I think, is this based on a true story? I don't think it is. I'm not 100% sure. But it's about she's a university professor, and she's a wife and a mother and a grandmother, and I think I can only imagine how horrendous that is, horrific. My great-nan passed away in December because she had Alzheimer's and dementia. I don't really know the difference between the two, but I feel like this hopefully will really help me understand it without having too many parallels, because it's early onset. But we'll see. I'm sceptical about this, but I feel like it could be really good, and I've heard the film is amazing too, so that's something to potentially watch if I really like this. And then the last one here is Faceless by Alyssa Schienmel. Sorry if I've said that wrong. This does not look like a black book, obviously, but the spine is black. This is about a girl who gets into an accident and then ends up having to have a face transplant, because I think her face gets burnt. I'm not 100% sure, but she gets a face transplant and then has to come to terms with what her face meant to her and how she can live life being what she feels like being somebody else and kind of having a different identity. And I feel like this is going to be really interesting. The sad thing about this is, obviously, most of you will probably know, but in the news these days there's a lot more people being attacked with acid and things, and that's obviously destroying their faces. So I feel like this is something that is more and more going to be something to be talked about. I've had a skin graft before on my ankle, so I feel like this, obviously the actual medical side of this might be slightly similar in terms of that. Obviously it's completely different because it's not my face, but I have got a skin graft, so I feel like that a little bit will be interesting. But yeah, I'm interested to read this. It's been on my shelf a while, but I do need to actually get to it. Next up, we're going to do the standing books. So the first one I have is The Zombie Chronicles by Darren Shan, which includes both Zombie and Zombie Underground. And I don't know much about this other than it is a zombie novel, obviously. It says, at first no one believed the viral footage was real. A conspiracy, some thought, perhaps a terrorist fear campaign, cleverly executed CGI and an awful lot of fake blood. But it turns out there was nothing fake about it. The undead have hit London and they're taking over, brain by brain. I mean, there is more to the synopsis, but I don't want to read any more. But I love zombie novels. It's it's kind of my guilty pleasure, but it's not guilty because I'm not guilty about it. So, you know what I mean? It's just something that I love to read. I love zombie novels so much, and I've heard great things about Darren Shan in general, so hopefully this is one I'll enjoy a lot. Then we have The Accident by C.L. Taylor. I read, what was it? The Missing by C.L. Taylor last year and loved it. And I think I've got another couple as well I don't actually know if C.L. Taylor is a man or a woman, but they're books. This follows a woman whose daughter steps in front of a bus and ends up in a coma. She then reads her daughter's diary, and Rip has to deal with the fact that her daughter was going through things and was a person that she didn't really know, I think. And then, yeah, I don't know too much else about it, but that sounds horrendous to me, absolutely terrifying. So, yeah, definitely one I want to read. relatively soon, but I'm going to say that about all of them, I think. Then I have one that everybody will know, that's Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer. Now I know I've said these shelves are ones I haven't read, but I've reread Twilight, and that's it, of the Twilight series. This is the 4th one. I haven't reread the others, and I really want to reread them, so that's why they're on my haven't read yet shelf. Yeah, I'm going to reread them and see what I think. Obviously I don't want to talk about this one too much. Twilight is about vampires versus werewolves basically, and about Bella Swan, who has a love interest in both, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I've obviously read these before, but really want to reread. I then have another C.L. Taylor book, and this one is The Lie. Again, all of her books are like The Missing, The Lie, The Accident, so I feel like she doesn't really need to say too much in the title, does she? But this basically says, Jane Hughes has a loving partner, a job in an animal sanctuary and a tiny cottage in rural Wales. She's happier than she's ever been, but her life is a lie. Jane Hughes does not really exist. 5 years earlier, Jane and her then best friends went on holiday, but what should have been the trip of a lifetime rapidly descended into a nightmare that claimed the lives of 2 of the women. Jane has tried to put the past behind her, but someone knows the truth about what happened. Someone who won't stop until they've destroyed Jane and everything she loves. That sounds pretty tense. So, looking forward to this one. We then have a book I'm really excited about. This is Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. This is the 3rd book in the Cormoran Strike series. I think the 4th book is actually coming out relatively soon. Is it called like Lethal White or something? I read, what was the first one? The Cuckoo's Calling and The Silkworm, both previously. I actually think I read both of them last year and loved them. This is the 3rd one, which I need to read. If you don't know what this series in general is about, I don't want to read the back of this one, but Cormoran Strike is a private detective who is also a veteran, and he actually has lost one of his legs, and he is like I say, a private detective who's hired to investigate things. And in the 1st book, he investigates the alleged suicide of a model, and the 2nd one, he investigates the disappearance of a writer who had written a book about his colleagues in a not very positive way. So again, I can't wait to read this one and see what it's about, because I think I just love J.K. Rowling in general. Her writing is incredible, and even as Robert Galbraith, I'm really loving it. Then we have Cause of Death by Patricia Cornwell. This is one of the Kay Scarpetta series, which, as you all know, I'm reading at the moment. I'm currently reading through them all. And I don't know which book in the series this is. I think this is number 7. I think I'm about to read I've read the first 2. I've read quite a few of them, but not in any order, and now I'm rereading them in order. So I think I've read the first 2 now. So like I said, I think this is 7. So I will eventually get to this, but it's on my shelf for when I do. And yeah, Kay Scarpetta is a medical examiner, and she investigates murders and things alongside Marino, who is her kind of police, like opposite. They're like partners. So yeah, really interested to read this, because I don't think I've ever actually read this one before, even though I've read quite a few of the books, so this could be good. Then we have a very popular book on BookTube, and that is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I've only ever read one book by that made me jump. I've only ever read one book by Maggie Stiefvater, and that was Scorpio Races, which was a really great book. This is the first in the Raven Cycle series, which I think is a 4-part series, and everybody and their mum's read it. And I've not even started it yet, so yeah, I think this is about a group of friends. Blue is the only girl, and I think there's like 5 or 6 boys. I'm not 100% sure. Thing is, right, I've heard a lot of people say, because basically the synopsis that I know is that Blue was told that when her first love will die when she not when she kisses them, but if she kisses somebody, they will then die at some point. Now, I've also been told that although that's kind of how it's like sold, is not the main premise of this. It's something to do with a buried king or like treasure or something. I don't know. Yeah, literally the tagline is, if you kiss your true love, he will die. So I feel like I don't know what to think about. I don't know what to expect from this book, but I've heard really great things, so hopefully I will get to this and read it and love it. Then the book that just terrified me, made me jump, so it literally jumped off the shelf, is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough, which I love this spine, like the fact that it's bright orange, which really, really stands out. I love it. Do I know anything about this? No. It says, Louise. Since her husband walked out, Louise has made her son her world, supporting them both with her part-time job. But all that changes when she meets David. Young, successful and charming, Louise cannot believe a man like him would be attracted to her. That all comes to a grinding halt when she meets his wife. Adele. Beautiful, elegant and sweet, Louisa's new friend seems perfect in every way. As she becomes obsessed by this flawless couple, she can't help but wonder, are they really this perfect? But only when Louise gets to know them both does she begin to see the cracks. It's a little bit weird, isn't it, that she sort of falls for the guy, friends with the woman, they're married, not sure where this is going to go. I've heard really, like it literally says on the front, the most shocking ending you'll read all year, so I'm excited. Then I have the Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo, which I think is the first book in the DC Icon series. I think there's like 4 superhero stories being written by 4 authors, so I think Leigh Bardugo has written Wonder Woman, then it's Marie Lu's written Batman, Sarah J Maas is writing Catwoman, and Matt de la Pena is writing Superman. I don't know how many of these are out now. I think definitely Batman is out. Stop falling, you're making me jump. I don't think Catwoman's out yet though, so I could be wrong. I love Leigh Bardugo, as we all know. Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom are the best books in the world. I don't think I've read anything else. Oh no, I've read the first book in the Shadow and Bone series. Is that what it's called? I've read Shadow and Bone, I think that's right. So yeah, another Leigh Bardugo book I'm definitely game to read, and I don't really know anything about Wonder Woman really, so this could be really good. The next one I have is another Danielle Steel book, which I love because you know I love Danielle Steel. This is Until the End of Time. It says 2 couples for whom love and fate are powerful, irresistible forces. Again, I'm really sorry I'm reading the back of most of these, but I don't really know what some of them are about. So this says, Bill, a dedicated lawyer working in New York, leaves everything he trained for to follow his dream and become a minister in rural Wyoming. Jenny, his fashion stylist wife, leaves the milieu and life she loves to join him. The certainty they share is that their destinies are linked forever. Fast forward 38 years, Robert is a hard-working, independent book publisher in Manhattan, looking for one big hit novel. Lilibet is a young Amish woman caring for her widowed father and 3 young brothers on their family farm. In secret at night by candlelight, she has written the novel that burns within her. When it falls into Robert's hands, he falls in love first with the book and then with the woman he has never met. These 2 remarkable relationships come together in unexpected and surprising ways as lovers are lost and find each other again. In this extraordinary novel, best-selling author Danielle Steel delivers a story about courage, change, risk and hope, and love that never dies. I've always said that Danielle Steel writes about so many different things. Each one of her books is completely different to anything else, but they always are really well researched, really well done, and I'm really excited to read them. And the final standing up book is The First to Die by James Patterson, which is the first book in the A Women's Murder Club series. Now, you all know how much I adore James Patterson, and this is a new series for me. I've never actually read a single book from this series, even though I've read quite a few of the books from different other series in different orders. I don't really want to know what this is about, apart from it's about a Women's Murder Club series, so yeah, I'm excited to read the first one. I feel like, it literally says at the top, what's not to love about a club formed by 4 women to catch a psycho killing newlywed couples? That's all I have to say. Sounds incredible. I should just really quickly say that if I'm sweating and I'm feeling I sound a bit out of breath in this video, it's because it's so hot. And for some reason I put a long sleeve top on and the fan's turned off. And the sun is just coming out because it's like midday now and I feel like I'm going to die slightly. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm trying my best. So then we're into the last little stack, which is the smaller one standing up here. So the first one I have is Black House by Stephen King and Peter Straub. Now, as you know, I'm collecting Stephen King's books, so when I saw this in my charity shop locally, I was like, I'm going to pick it up. It was £1.50. Then I was looking it up because I didn't really know anything about it. It's about a serial killer, and that's about as much as I know. And I realised this is book 2 in a 2-part series. I think the first one is The Talisman, so I can't actually read this one until I get the other one. But it's on my shelf, ready to read as soon as I do. Although this is a huge book. Let's find out how many pages it is. It's about 850 pages, so yeah, I'm not sure how big the Talisman is, but we'll see, because I'm interested, and obviously I want to get that at some point so I can actually read this one. Then we have another book in the Kay Scarpetta series. This one is The Body Farm by Patricia Cornwell. Really, really interested in reading this one again. I don't think I've actually read this one before. Like I said, I've read like a few here and there, and I don't think I've read this one. I don't think that's one of them. I don't actually know which number this is either, but I feel like it'll be interesting. It's good to have it on my shelf ready to read when I do get to this one. Then I have another classic and another Penguin Classics edition, and this one is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Now, you may know that Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte is literally my favourite classic of all, and this is obviously her sister. I've heard really good things about Wuthering Heights. Lauren from Lauren and the Books loves this. And what I love the most is that pretty much everyone I've heard, whether they like it or they don't like it, have always said that all the characters are really unlikable. And, I mean, Heathcliff, come on guys. All I know is that the only thing I know about this book is that, what was her name? Kate Bush did a song called, was it called Wuthering Heights? I don't know, it was the bit where she starts singing to Kathy and Heathcliff, and I mean, I don't know, but I'm really interested to read this finally, to see whether she stands up to her sister, because like I said, Charlotte Bronte is incredible. Then I have Pretties by Scott Westerfeld, which is the second book in the Uglies trilogy by Scott Westerfeld, obviously, hence why he wrote this one. I've got on my shelf, let me find it if I can, I have the Uglies and Specials, which I've talked about in those two videos, which I will link below. But Pretties is the second one. It's a really cool pink spine. I think this is about a woman named Tally, or a young girl should I say, named Tally, who in Uglies is basically that they live in a world where you're ugly when you're born and then you get turned into a pretty, I think, when you're 16. And then, like, it's a dystopian world basically, and it's literally written before the Hunger Games there was Uglies. So yeah, I don't know too much else about it other than it's meant to be really good. And like I said, I've got the whole trilogy, so I really hope I like it, otherwise that's a bit of a waste of time. Then I have another zombie novel. This one is Zombie Britannica by Thomas Empson. This literally terrifies me, this cover. I don't know what to say about it, but it's really scary. Another one in London, funnily enough. I feel like maybe I'm trying to say something. This says, Cassie's day as a guide at Westminster Abbey begins badly when zombies storm into the building and eat the tourists. That's not the best first sentence of a synopsis you ever heard. Carrie escapes but finds London choked with the undead. She has no idea where they came from, no idea how to stop them. All she knows is she has to race through dangerous, gore-soaked streets and find her daughter. Across the UK, bystanders witness the same horrific events, the dead arising from their graves and going on the hunt. From local sightseers in Wales to a Scottish family preparing to leave on holiday, the living will find themselves in a fight to keep that title. There is no escape. The remaining survivors have to fend off attacks from their own, as well as the ever-growing numbers of the undead. A punishing sun beats down on the new Zombie Britannica. I cannot wait to read this. This sounds incredible. Then, would you believe it, there's another one from Patricia Cornwell's Scarpetta series, K. Scarpetta. This one is The Last Precinct. Again, I don't think I've ever read this one, so looking forward to it when I get there. And then the final book is actually a non-fiction book. This one is The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. This is about a woman who is a black... this is about a poor black tobacco farmer named Henrietta Lacks, whose cancer cells are taken from her body without her knowledge and used as research. And it's about the fact that literally scientists know the woman as healer Henrietta Lacks, the first bit, because like they know her cancer cells more than her. And this is about like balancing, so her family didn't know that they'd taken those cells until 20 years after her death, with devastating consequences. I don't know what they are, but it's about the kind of who owns the stuff our bodies are made of. That's literally the kind of like main thing about this. Like, do we have the right not to give permission for that, I suppose? I don't really know, but this sounds really, really incredible. Obviously, it's amazing that this woman's body has been used for good. Oh, sorry, her cells have been used for good, but obviously there's also the kind of, she wasn't asked about this, she wasn't told that this was going to happen, and it's about the kind of consequences of that. Like I said, I don't know anything else about this. This sounds amazing though, and I really want to read it because I've heard nothing but amazing things, and I really want to read more about Henrietta Lacks and kind of get the kind of behind the scenes story, I guess. So yeah, really, really interested to read this one. And there we have it, guys. That is my last of my bookshelf tours. I do have 3 big piles of books over here because they don't fit on these shelves. Now, I'm not planning on doing a video for those because I'm hopefully going to be moving soon, and then I'll be able to do a whole new bookshelf tour once we move into our new place and kind of put it all there. When I say soon, I don't know when that's going to happen yet, but I'm not going to do one for those because I feel some of them I've talked about and some of them I haven't, but hopefully, like I said, I'll do a kind of one big one soon. Let me know if you like this video. I upload every Monday and Friday at 5 PM, so come back and check out my videos then. Press the little notification bell if you would like to be notified when my videos go up, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.